Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. We start with a little delay. We were checking technical details to make everything perfect for the Info Day of Collide Award 2020. As many of you who are listening to right now knows, Collide has been announced recently. Submissions are accepted until the 7th of December, and we know that it's a challenging year for many aspects, but we thought that by organizing Collide Info Day, we could help to provide advice, to support on the application, and moreover, to give confidence to everyone who is interested in science, or the artists that are interested in science and who want to send us a proposal. Today we are here, Julia Miralles and myself in the stage. Later, some very special guests will join us. We are in Angar. Thank you to the amazing team. They are super professionals in streaming, and we cannot be more grateful to them. And Luis Nacenta, director of Angar, will join us as well. So this is a welcome, 5 minutes of welcome for us, because the most important things will be discussing the proposals and answering questions. And I'd like to thank you, the Barcelona City Council, the City Council has announced with us for second edition Collide Residency Award. And we will be doing, well, we have big plans for this year, and we will be supporting art and science interactions in both cities, in CERN, in Geneva, and in Barcelona, in different laboratories, and in Angar, in the Center for Research and Production. So with no delay, I'll pass the mic to you, Julia.
Thank you, Monica. And thank you to the whole program of Varus CERN of the European Organization for Nuclear Research in Geneva. Thanks to Luis Nacenta and Angar for hosting this second edition of the residency, and to Fabre Coats for having hosted the first one. And of course, thanks to Helma Timko, Xavi Luri for the speeches that they will do here today, and to Rosa Megman, who is the artist, the winner of the first Collide edition in Barcelona, and the person who will make us understand, we hope today, how the artist can help, the art and the artist can help answering the unknown questions about science. We are happy to present you this second edition of Collide in Barcelona, organized between the CERN and the Barcelona City Council, as Monica already explained, and that is part of the Barcelona Science Plan. The Collide Award is one objective of the 4 strategic axes of the Barcelona Science Plan that aims to encourage the creative link between art, science, and technology. One of these objectives envisages the alliance with CERN, and to promote it through this Collide program that combines artistic residencies at the same research center, the CERN in Geneva, and the Benchmark Creation Factory in Barcelona. As I said, during the first edition, this was Fabre Coats, and now this will be Angar for the second edition. I do not wish to make my speech very much longer for us to have time to hear the most interesting opinions that we will have today, as also Monica said, that are the ones of the people that is directly involved on the program, and the scientists and the artists. So finally, but the most important part of my talk, congratulations to Rosa Megman for the winning of the first Collide Award that took place in Barcelona. We hope that you have enjoyed this experience, and that it has been an opportunity for the development of your impressive artwork. We are eager to hear you to hear your thoughts and your opinions. That will be the better way to understand the Collide program, the Collide Award, and how it relates to the link between arts and science. Thank you.
Thank you. Should I talk now? Is that it?
No, not yet, Rosa. We are looking forward to your talk, but so I'll explain briefly how this is going to take place. The Collide Info, in order with Helga Timko, accelerator physicist from CERN. She works in the Large Hadron Collider, and she will be speaking about her research in the lab. Later will be with Xavier Luri, director of the ICUB. The ICUB is the Institute of Cosmos Science in the University of Barcelona. And finally, Rosa Menkman is the former resident of Collide. She was with us last year and part of this year in Barcelona. And after listening to them, their experience, the place they work, their ideas, their scientific and artistic thinking and practice, we will give opportunity to any of our listeners and followers to express questions. In fact, for the last week, we've been spreading the invitation through our social channels, and there is a hashtag, and that is still active. Is Ask Collide. You can send questions either in Twitter or Instagram. Also, you can write your questions in the YouTube you are connecting with. So I'm going to start by giving you, before introducing our next speaker, Luis Nacenta, I'm going to play some images so we are in tune for what is going to happen later and the places that we will be describing.
Thank you.
I'll share my screen and yeah. Luis, will you join us? Well, I'll show some images of what CERN is and the places that the artists spend time and the people they exchange and dialogue with. I'll ask Luis to explain us what Vanguard is and what is the part in Barcelona, what the artists can expect when they arrive to Vanguard. Vanguard is a place with long tradition in hosting artists who come for research, to stop and think of ideas, and to explore new perspectives in their practice. So please tell us.
Thank you, Monica. With pleasure. Hangar, as the name of this place in Barcelona says, is a center for research and production of visual arts, visual in a very broad sense. So we've been for now experience. So what we can offer and what we are willing to receive from the resident artists in the Collide program will be mainly a context, an accompaniment for the process of research and production that the artist decides to develop in Barcelona after the stay in CERN. How we do this? The main tools that we provide to artists are the main thing. It's a common knowledge developed in Hangar. So we have a long experience in curating and in producing. So the team of Hangar, together with an appointed person, curator, that we will choose once we know the artist. So we do we choose the exact profile that is required for this project. We will accompany that person and make the connection with the science centers in Barcelona that we will be visiting and working on. And also we will stress and we will try to make the connection between production, and research. This is something that in our labs we try to do always. So when a project has a more theoretical approach, we invite the artists and we push them to try things in our labs, in our technological equipment, and with our technicians. When a particular artistic project is more close to production and experimenting with things, then we try to push to do the theoretical, philosophical, contextual accompaniment of the project. So we always try to accompany the artist in a way that both parts are together. And another very important thing, and I'll just try to keep it really short because I know that I'm not the main voice here. I want to hear Rosa, and I want to hear about the experience of the scientist. But the last thing and very important is that in Angar we host a lot of projects. So we have a group of almost 20 resident artists, and we have 4 different creative collectives resident in Angar. So when you are here, you take part in a community, and you can connect with a lot of different technological and aesthetical approaches. So this is another thing that we facilitate, the ability to collaborate with a community that is not just the community that right now is resident in Angar, but it's of course an international community of all the artists that recently have been connected to us. That would be the main thing. Then after all, if there are some specific questions, then we can go into detail. But I think this is the most important aspects. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Luis. I think it's very important to explain that Collide sees as a collaboration. A collaboration is a topic that is fundamental in science. So you cannot do science without creating large or small as well teams of collaborators, and usually these collaborations are transnational. You will be looking what the guys in Chile or Japan are doing, and you will be in dialogue. And I think in the arts, this is there is an equivalence. And when we set up Collide, we understood that Collide was our international program, and we had to find these links with cities with long tradition in science. So Collide will take place for 2 months, residency of 2 months. After this residency, when the artist will come to Barcelona. In this process, a proposal that the artist will present during these days, during the application period, will be developed and will be supported by dialoguing with scientists and with the support of curators and teams of experts as we have in Arts at CERN, Angar, and in the labs in Barcelona. So I'd like to introduce, and I think she will be able to give us another voice and another really interesting angle in this perspective, Helga Timko. Helga is a physicist from CERN. She is connecting with us from Geneva, and she is for a long time, she has been involved in the Arts at CERN programs, supporting artists, several artists, John Chul Kim. Helga Timko was the scientific partner of former residents as him, and later with Rosa Menkman as well. And Helga has a really interesting profile, and allow me to say this, Helga, I know you combine studies on theoretical physics as well as experimental physics. You are now working in the Large Hadron Collider in one of the most specific and concrete activities, which is the calibration of the beam. So I'll invite you, Helga, to explain your work, and maybe we can imagine by listening to you how a conversation between an artist and scientist take place at CERN.
Thank you very much, Monica. Good buddy. So I'll try to give you a glimpse of what is research like in a particle physics laboratory. And of course, the primary purpose of doing research at CERN is to study the fundamental laws of physics. And we do this by colliding, accelerating and colliding small constituents, subatomic constituents, particles. And then we study the outcome of these collisions. So the machines we use to accelerate and collide these particles, they are big machines, they are accelerators. The biggest we have at CERN is 27 kilometers long, it's the LHC, and that's the machine I also primarily work for. And then we have also other very big objects, which are the detectors, where we are analyzing the collisions. So although the fundamental purpose is to do particle physics research, especially also theoretical and experimental particle physics research, since we have all this huge infrastructure, there's also lots of other types of research ongoing at CERN, especially in the accelerator physics sector and accelerator technology sector, and a lot of computer science too, since we are streaming high amounts of data and we need to analyze this kind of data. So CERN actually does not only consist of physicists, it is a mixture of physicists, engineers, we have mathematicians, we have computer scientists, all types of backgrounds. Personally, I'm a physicist, and I've been working for the LHC for many years now, specifically for the accelerating system, which is a radio frequency system. And yes, I do a mixture of things actually in my day-to-day work. I have to do also some theory calculations. That means, sitting in my office and scratching my head and trying with a pencil and a paper, trying to solve some problems. Sometimes that's not enough because our equipment is very complex, so we need to actually code some models and simulate results. So that's also part of my day-to-day routine. And then we are also running experiments in these big machines to understand better the behavior, in my case, the behavior of the particles inside of these accelerators. So sometimes I have to go down also to the LHC tunnel, which is 150 meters underground. And that's also very exciting. It's really a place where if you are for the first time, you will be stunned. And there's another, I think, key word that we already heard today once, and that's collaboration. It's also important for scientists and engineers at CERN, because we have, as I mentioned, very complex machines, so no single person can understand everything about these phenomena that we are trying to describe. So it's constant exchange also between the scientists and in this case we welcome, of course, artists to exchange with us some more philosophical thoughts. And maybe just to mention also, CERN is very mixed in terms of personnel as well. So there's actually not that many staff. So our staff is around 2,400 people. But in total, we can be up to 12,000 people on site. And that's because we have many students, many young people also coming and doing their research on site. And as well, we have many people visiting from universities and other institutes. So again, collaboration with many other institutions. So back to Monica.
Okay. Thank you, Helga. Thank you. I think there are many things to say about the science at CERN, and it will be really tricky to focus in a single field. As you said, there is accelerator science, all the technology that is made to create these collisions, to see the subatomic nature, and to even imagine the phenomena that is happening inside these machines. So I think we will have a few questions around the science and the technology. And I cannot emphasize enough what you said about the CERN being a place where many people cross paths and share experience of connecting with knowledge in a very early career. And to do science is to do collaborations, and this is the value that I find every day that I spend in the laboratory. So I'm going to ask or invite to answer or to express his opinion about this to Xavier Luri. Xavier, you will join us in the stage, and I'll wear my mask. Xavier.
Hello, good afternoon.
We are lucky to be here physically, not online.
Yeah, it's Barcelona.
In Barcelona.
So.
And Xavier Luri is the director of the Institute for Cosmos Science in Barcelona, in the University of Barcelona. It's a scientific institution, part of the university. And you had experience with, and you are having experience inviting artists and that are unsettled about the important questions that many of you are trying to answer in collaboration with other parts of the world. So I'm provoking a question or an answer here.
Okay.
What is your job about?
Okay, let me try to briefly explain what I do, what we do at the Institute, its relation with art. Let me start by saying that I think that artists and scientists start from the same point, which is look around, look at the universe, and then wonder. Only thing is that we react differently. Artists react by creating, by trying to grasp the universe in a piece of art, in a piece of their work. While we look at the universe and we try to understand, to answer questions in a different way, sometimes also with our hands, with our eyes. But at the old science, astronomers have been looking at the sky for ages, for centuries, and I'm following this tradition. I'm doing what other astronomers have done in the past. I'm building a map. I'm a stellar cartographer. I'm building a map of the Milky Way in the very best old tradition of looking at the sky, drawing the place of the Earth, of our place in the universe. And at the Institute, we take it a step further. Our institute is multidisciplinary, so we include astronomers, astrophysicists, particle physicists, nuclear physicists, engineers, software engineers, electronic engineers. So together, we try to do the same thing, understand the cosmos, understand the universe, but combining many different techniques. And I think it's today, nowadays, the early 21st century is also a very, very interesting time to do this kind of science, because it's a bit similar to what happened in the first part of the 20th century, where radioactivity was discovered, nuclear processes were discovered, and then using this knowledge, the astronomers were able to understand what fuels the stars. So that's nuclear reactions. A star is just a ball with nuclear reactions inside, an exploding bulk of matter. So at the time, the combination of what's physics and astronomy generated a revolution in the understanding of the universe. And to some extent, we are doing the same. Now the astronomers looking at the very remote regions of the universe, at the Big Bang, are hitting the domain of particle physics. So we are hitting the CERN domain. We're sometimes stealing the part of the physics, and we are combining particle physics and astrophysics to try to understand what happened in the very first moments of the universe, what is happening now with its expansion, and we are doing cosmology, that's understanding the universe from its beginning to the present epoch. So this is a little bit what we do, and from my experience with Rosa and also Andy, our resident artist, we think that a part of the effort to do that is to approach the languages. What I think is happening also with artists is that people realize that to understand science, you have to learn to some extent the language of science. To really understand art, to approach art, to really grasp art, we have also to learn the language. And it is something that we scientists lack sometimes. And I can tell you by firsthand that when you do the effort, like there was an exhibit here in Barcelona at the CCCB on quantum physics, and there were artworks from CERN there. And if you do the effort to understand the context, what the artists meant in the context of particle physics, you really find the place where science and art can get together.
Thank you. That's very exciting. In fact, I'm very glad to hear that you mentioned this cross-disciplinarity in physics now, and because there are so many questions there still to be answered. And since I arrived to CERN, I start to see these cosmologies coming together with particle physicists, with looking for these technologies, seeing this data, and there are experiments everywhere, inside and even outside our planet, and really far in the skies. So I think we can agree that there is an imagination to be explored, an imaginary world that is still to be explored by the artist, and this is probably the reason why we are here today. So talking about this imagination, I like to give the microphone to Rosa Menkman, who is not too far from us, just in the next screen, but you are talking from Berlin, Rosa?
I am, yeah, I'm in Berlin. I'm in the studio here. I am trying to share my slides, if that's possible. Do you see them? Wait, I will here, share, yes.
Yes, we see it perfect.
Yeah, and now too, because now I made full screen. That's always a tricky business. Yeah, my name is Rosa Menkman. I am Dutch, but I am in Berlin right now. And yes, it's always a very tricky business to actually make arts and sciences get together. For me, as an artist who's been in universities, but in the humanities, I have already dealt with those problems for many, many years. And as Xavier also said, like that is always really the problem of language. But yeah, I first want to also say a thank you actually to CERN and Monica and Valeria, Jeremy and Rolf, of course, also Tatiana and the whole city of Barcelona and Pabla y Coach. That's like a long list to thank people, but that's also how many resources were given to me. And I mean, it was an amazing time. I have learned the most, I think, like I felt like my brain was actually expanding so rapidly on a day-to-day basis, and like finding these new facets of thinking through not just sciences or the arts, but really imagination, and learning not to be so afraid to open and couple these different kinds of discourses and disciplines. So that to me was like a really amazing experience. I applied for the residency with a proposal which was called Shadow Knowledge. This is a little extract of the video that I proposed with. And for my proposal, I had not necessarily a full thought out project that I wanted to create. You know, because CERN is full of like experiments, technologies, thoughts, and I actually wanted to go there and learn and apply that knowledge to the things I've already been exploring, to expand on that, and then to see what came out of that. So my proposal was, yes, to make a video on the subject of scale, but at the same time, I wanted to keep it a little bit open. So my actual application video was, it kind of like was probing more towards the subjects that I actually wanted to explore. While I was at CERN, finally, like the final experience at CERN became really interesting, because when you make your own proposal, you do it from your own background. Like as an artist, I was introducing myself. But as I entered the space of CERN, I realized that I, as an artist, still use a lot of metaphors, and it became really hard. It became actually almost impossible to talk to scientists using the language of art, using a lot of metaphors. So I had to actually change my research a lot. And I pivoted away from shadow knowledge, which is actually like metaphoric concept, to impossible images. And so my research finally became mostly, while you're at CERN, you get like the access to different scientists. I had at least 2 conversations with different scientists a day. That means 2 hours. So 1 hour per scientist. And then I could also make like appointments with my scientific partners. I had 2 specific scientific partners, so that, you know, after an hour of talking to scientists, you have only more questions, and especially like terms you didn't really get, but you want to move on and try to get more knowledge out of them. So I was always taking notes and then bringing my questions to my scientific partner to say, hey, they said this and this, what could they actually be meaning? So there was like this really nice, it's like not like a school, but I mean, schools don't teach you so much in the end. Like it was really like a super intense, like what do I actually want to know, and like really learning how to talk to people that come from different disciplines. I think one of the most amazing things that I learned was actually that no scientist is the same. Like you think you go to a place, and yes, as Helga already said, like there's 2,400 people there, and of course they're not the same. But actually, they work in hundreds of different disciplines, and every discipline has their own language, and they might actually use different terms for talking about the same thing. And then they have also a very different openness to an artist. You know, being invited to a scientific institute is very special. Normally, an artistic environment invites actually a scientist. It's not very often that the artist is invited to a scientific place for an actual conversation, but then still, you see that different scientists actually are more or less interested in having an actual conversation versus like teaching you, because those are very different ways of conversating. So I had to really learn how to approach, first how to index the species of scientists in front of me, and then learning how to engage with them. So that was like a large part of my experience at CERN. This is like types of conversations you could have, but you could have also real conversations. This is actually CERN at night, because while I was staying there, I was staying on the premises. That means that also at night I slept there. So this is me walking at night. That's also the openness of the space, right? You could really see the things. How I prepared was really by, you cannot become a particle physicist. I don't have the training, I don't have that time, I don't even have that wish. But I did want to learn as much language and as much knowledge, gain as much knowledge as I could before I got there. So I read quite a bit of introductory text. And then I just made a whole lot of notes. And yeah, I don't know if I like just learned a very basic thing, but I think actually what I learned is that there's different languages, just like a scientific language that you as an artist try to like make a little bit part of yourself, but also me as an artist, I have another language. And so there's these 2 languages, and you can choose to try to think that you can become a scientist, or you can choose to stay like a metaphor or an artist of choosing the poetic language. What I actually was trying to do is like create a third language, which is like the bridge language. I just wanted to also show just some images. This is one of my favorite spaces at CERN. It's the antimatter factory. Here they are researching antimatter and how antimatter falls and what could be the color of antimatter. This is like a smaller experiment, but the smaller experiments always look more exciting because they're like crazy scientist spaces. I'm just gonna browse real quick through some of the images of CERN before I move to the Barcelona part. This is the server space. This is the archive, which is also incredibly amazing too. As I said, CERN is so open that you can visit all these spaces, but really to get access to the archive. So not just the library, but the actual old knowledge that is kept there in all these binders. Written statements by even by people like Einstein. It's like it's completely crazy. So yeah, let me go back to my time there. It's easy to make beautiful images, but it's much harder to actually be there and then condense all that information that you're collecting into really making a new type of artwork. Because as I said, like I had this concept, shadow knowledge, but then I had to pivot it to like impossible images. What are you gonna do with that? And I think, oh, I saw my second part in Barcelona. I had some time during my time in CERN and the time then going to Barcelona, which is a time that is cut into two pieces. One piece is to visit all the institutes in Barcelona, and the other part is like to actually condense and try to produce something out of it. And this is also already what Louis said, like where you actually put your research into production phase. I wanted to put this in there because I had a producer there, Tatiana, and she was incredibly amazing. It can actually become a lonely ride as an artist to visit all these scientific spaces where you always have to like cut your languages in three and then like pivot in your mind between these languages. But Tatiana really helped me during that time. And so the first part in Barcelona was like visiting a lot of amazing institutes and meeting some really powerful people also. I was so impressed and so thankful for seeing all these people. This is another server space. So finally, there's a few things that I still want to say. The time in Barcelona, I had, you know, during the time in CERN, I had always an hour with every scientist, and it was an hour is really great to get to know who the scientist is and what type of way you can approach them, but it doesn't actually always give you enough time to know what you can actually learn from them. Because it's like it's a huge jump to get into their field and to in their research before you can couple their research to your actual thoughts and your questions. So therefore, I had two scientific assistants, right, Wolf and Jeremy, and I could go back to them. During my time in Barcelona, when I visited the Institute for Sciences and Cosmos, the ICU, where also Xavier was there, I had actually a 3-hour conversation with 5 scientists at the same time. And to me, this was one of the most amazing experiences in my life, because that was the time, I think, it's going to sound a little bit dramatic, but it's like that. It's the time that I lost a little bit of my fear to propose, like, let's say, a language that is in between science and the arts. And so I proposed actually, or I asked also Xavier, and he came with a really good solution, because if you visit all these experiments, they're high energy, they're low energy, they're like looking through lenses, or they're looking actually not even through lenses, but through magnets. They're sometimes watching particles, and sometimes they're watching waves, and sometimes they're watching two at the same time. It's really hard, because every one of these disciplines, they use actually different words. And sometimes you can say like, hey, how does this photo machine work? And then someone will say, like, it works like a microscope. And then you will reference the same machine to another scientist, and they will say, no, it's not a camera, it's not a photo machine, that's not right. So it was for me really hard to always find the right language. But what I proposed with Xavier is like this really strange messenger goes through a window, and then creates a possible image. That to me was like, I guess, the most amazing moment of my residency. And from that now, I'm still doing, I mean, my residency finished because of COVID. And then my brain kind of had to like make a little bit of a break from research and get into COVID time. However, I'm still doing and finishing up the research. The research has pivoted to this thing that is called impossible images. And next week, actually, I'm really revisiting it because I'm going to the University of Dundee. Well, I'm zooming into, and there I'll be giving a lecture and a workshop about impossible images. And because it's in a university environment, although probably more of the humanities environment, it will be again like opening up this whole thought process of how to combine all these different discourses. So yeah, that's, I think, all I have to say about it. I'm very excited for everyone that wants to apply. And I'm here for questions also. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rosa. I mean, it's on now. Yeah, it's okay. Thank you, Rosa. That was, I mean, your enthusiasm reaches here perfectly. So I don't know if someone was hesitant to apply. I think now they are not hesitant anymore. So thank you for that. Thank you to all, because your presentation were really straight to the point and very clear. And that was important because, I mean, this is meant also to answer the questions that the people that are thinking to apply or are simply interested in the program are asking us. Truth is, we have a lot of questions, which is good, but there is one problem with that, is that I don't think that we will be able to reply them all. But we are making a selection, we are organizing them. We have Marcia and Anna that they have been working in that. Also, Marcia is attending the questions in social networks and in the YouTube channel live. So what I will do now is just read some of the questions, and we will try to answer them. Okay. Please, I mean, I'm sorry, it's impossible to reply them all, because then this act would be 3 hours long. But we will do now as much as we can, and then of course we can continue. In the application you have contact emails and telephones, and of course you can all the questions will be replied. Okay, I would suggest that we start with the questions that are specifically about the application. Okay, so I will just read them out loud, and then we can decide who's the most suited person to reply. Okay. So the first question about the application reads as follows: how specific does the topic and lines of research in the project proposal need to be? And are you more interested in very specific matters, or is a broader subject such as the unified field theory also welcome? Is it necessary to present already a detailed and a specific research? Well, this is, we have similar questions that are together, but I would say that this is first place is a question for you, Monica. I think
Okay.
you're the one with most experience to answer that, how specific this needs to be.
Okay. The proposal needs to reflect on genuine interest around science, because we need to help you to develop this proposal. So we need to be able to do it with our expertise, and a visit to CERN needs to be justified. So, of course, if you come with a very broad question, like explain me, or I want to just do the research about string theory, this is too broad. Is too plain as well. It needs to be specific and justified within a research framework. So in the proposal, in the application form, you will see a motivation field. It's very important to justify why. And this motivation will be aligned with the proposal. So I have this idea. I think it's relevant for my moment in my career, in my practice, in my context, my ecosystem. But the motivation is that it's going to take me to this place. It's going to follow these goals. I'm going to achieve this, and I'm going to give back to the community as well. So I like to emphasize as well this empathy with the community of scientists. When we see this, we feel that we are doing something right, because it's about two-way communication. So try to look through this question. Needs to be a very porous proposal with a focus, research-led, thinking what will come next, but not too focused on production yet, because we want to work with you. Maybe Helga has been in our jury. Maybe if you want to add something, please feel free, Helga.
Yes, I think this last point is also important, not too focused on production yet. So I think we're looking for people who, for proposals who are open to this exchange between a scientist and an artist. So yes, exactly what you said, two-way communication.
Very interesting, because you are, in your replies, you are already addressing, because other questions were about how important is the final result, the production goal. So, well, of course, the questions are in many cases related amongst each other. Okay, next important question. What is your advice for the application process? This is very practical. And how would you advise to start making an application? This is by a user called Anonymous R007. So thank you for your question.
Okay, sorry, I'm going to monopolize this part of more pragmatic answers.
I am sorry. Yes. There are other that are named broadly, more broadly about the scientific approach. And yes,
I think there is not. We are very good at it, but jurors are people with long experience in participating in these reviewing processes. So I think the best answer is to show your passion and justify why you want to do this. And if feasibility is also very important. So if you want to work with 1,000 scientists and gather all of them in the same place, I mean, this is silly, of course, but this is it's a silly example, but it's not going to be possible. We cannot do that for you. You cannot really spend a week sleeping in the Large Hadron Collider. It's just why, and that's not possible. So silly examples like that might help to understand that feasibility, especially in a scientific environment, is very important. So we need to be capable of helping with the proposal, but also we need to be passionate about it. So show motivation, passion, and cross this comfort zone in which you think your proposal is really amazing because it's very witty and ends up being a gag sometimes. So go further with good ideas, but not overdoing the ideas. It's just it's a research proposal. You are coming to explore. You are going to be supported by an amazing team of people, and in this outstanding scenario. But exactly what you want to do and how. That's the question you need to answer.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I will try to combine questions about different subjects, because we have a lot of. So let's move to science now and to the third specifically. There are some questions that are curious about what's going on there. For instance, there is one that it's very clear, and it says, "What are physicists currently working on now?" I mean, perhaps it would take a long lecture to answer that, but it would. I think it's interesting for the people from the art side that are not that familiar, and perhaps it's good to have a first insight while preparing the project. So I would say, in this case, Helga, or also Xavier, who wants to start?
Maybe it's difficult to just name one or two things about physics, and now we are looking to find traces, signatures of beyond standard model physics in the collisions. So this is of course one big topic, and along with this physics research, there is also an accelerator physics program which is looking at the possible accelerators and machines that we are going to build in the future in order to facilitate that kind of research at even higher energy. Yeah, I don't know if you want to add something.
Xavier, perhaps you want to.
Yeah, let me be first a bit provocative. If you are asked what physicists are working on, my answer will be everything. Because there are physicists today everywhere. To give you an example, if you are in Barcelona, you are probably checking every day the forecast about the COVID situation that's produced by a physicist, a woman that works at the Polytechnic University, applying models coming from physics to the epidemics of COVID. If you watch TV and you watch the weather forecast, this is physicists from my faculty that work on models to predict the weather. I can go on and go on and go on. Your next mobile phone will be based on some work on solid state physics that someone has done some time ago. So the question is very general, but I guess you are asking about more specific. So in my institute, as I said, the hot topics are consolidating the Big Bang model, which is now the standard, but refining it, understanding the fine details of it. What is dark matter? How is it expanding? And how it links with particle physics? That's a hot topic. And myself, as I said, I'm building a 3D map of our galaxy. So maybe one day a navigator could use it to fly to the stars.
Wow, this sounds.
There you have proposals.
Yeah. It's like the sometimes when you hear the physicists talking, it's like the blurry limit between science and science fiction, because a 3D map of the. Okay. So a very important issue that some people also here in Angar made these questions about the profile of the artist. I think this is very important. So, for instance, a question about this: do you just accept artists who have already worked or engaged with scientific research? Or do you consider artists who are interested in open a dialogue between art and science? Are artists working in all mediums considered, including traditional visual art practices? Or is there a preference for digital new media? I think we're back to you, Monica.
Okay, that's a big question, and I know we have this question every year. And so is it me? Is it me? That's the question, really. Can I go to another community and perform in another way? I think we are open to any expression. CERN is a place for science, for thinking. It's almost theoretical physics. I think one of the fathers of quantum mechanics said there was experimental philosophy, something like this, right? you have technologies. This is what we can provide, and it's very likely that we are more comfortable with people working with digital and with technology. But that's not our target, our fundamental target. We open to anyone who sees an interest in a hidden place that we have not about that. We were combining. We had Rosa Menkman. She has a long tradition on digital, and she's a pioneer on glitch art and digital media. But in the honorary mentions, that are artists that are invited as guest artists for a shorter period, there were Nathan Witt. Nathan has been researching calendars in the Middle East, from Persian times to the Mughal Empire, and he knows everything about science technology. He's one of the most knowledgeable artists I know. Then we have Gabriela Torres. She made a great proposal, probably one of her first proposals. She's super young. So emerging artists are likely to be awarded as well on quantum computing, and a very hot topic. But she is not a digital artist. So we are open to every field, and of course the bravest is the proposal is the one that will catch our eye.
Okay, let's change the subject for a moment, so we cover all types of questions. Now, a question specifically to you, Rosa. There are. I'll read two questions together because they are related. The first one to Rosa is, what inspired you to choose this topic? This is the first one. And then there is another from Erin Kirchner asking, what would you like to have known before going to CERN? So Rosa, it's your time now.
Those are really great questions. So as I said, my research, I'm a research-based artist, right? So I have a longer tradition or a longer research in the field of resolution setting, which is something that I have been looking into specifically because I want to try to understand basically where are the limits of resolution, and in that sense, to show something in one way, you don't show it in another way. So then there is always this like lost way of showing stuff, and that has to do with liminalities, and it has to do with compromises, it has to do with affordances. So from that, I kind of created a research question that I reformulated. Okay, but I chose a very particular, because I have already kind of cut my research into different subjects. One of them being genealogies, one of them being habits, materiality. I think all those like facets of thinking through digital technologies gives you a very different way of understanding what is possible and impossible. For this particular visit to CERN, I chose one part, and that is scale. And scale, of course, is like scaling. So like going through different levels of, for instance, size. Is a very huge way, or I guess it's an important way to approach CERN, I guess, because they're like researching the smallest particles with the biggest experiments. So scale has like many ways of thinking through scale at CERN, and that's how you can understand that particular way of researching really well. And yeah, I don't know if that's like a really easy answer to the question of what inspires you, but what inspired me is that it gave me so many more ways of thinking through scale, and scale being also, again, like a way to compromise one way of seeing something. But it's also, I think, and that's always something that is really important to me, it's actually a very violent topic, because if you scale something, if you zoom in or out, for instance, is one way of scaling, then you cut off particular ways of looking at things. And so for me to understand and learn how to talk about scale, which is an abstract thing, is actually is something that I don't know where we actually learn to talk through that. So my inspiration was really to find knowledge that I haven't been able to find easily somewhere else. The question of what I would have wanted to know before I applied. Yeah, it's absolutely about understanding better or learning faster when you have a particular type of scientist in front of you, what you can actually learn and expect from them. So it's much more this like sociology behind visiting and the dynamic of a scientific, and then in this case, specifically the hard sciences, like how to engage and how to approach and how to probe the best way. So in that sense, it was also really a training for me, like how to learn how to talk to different species of researchers, right? I hope that those answers help.
Thank you, Rosa. Okay, shifting subjects again. One very practical question, but I think this is very important because the call says some things about this, but I don't think it's 100% clear. In the case of collectives, this is the question. Would 2 or more members be able to attend? Would they be able to bring their families?
Collectives are invited to attend for as far as they are okay on sharing the budget available. So there is a limited budget. We will not go. We will not be able to provide more than that. And families, right now it's difficult to say. In the past, we had a couple of artists bringing their daughters. Is well, it's a compromise for both because CERN is not a place where you can bring families and they can run freely. There is radiation sites. So there is an assessment to make here. It's not impossible, but it's something to be discussed. And then we have a limit of hosting only 3 members of the collective. We will not be able to host more than that, and the budget will not allow it. So it's something to be discussed, but we don't say no to collectives. It's part of, yeah, we are open to collectives. Yeah.
What are good resources to look at to get a better understanding of the research of its center? Again, Erin Kirchner, thank you for your question. I would say, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I mean, in the case of Vanguard, you should just check the website and contact us. We are always ready to give you more details about how our place is equipped and what can provide to you. I don't know about I imagine in the case of the scientific research centers, it's a bit more complicated. What would you say? If it's important to have more details, to know a bit more.
In our center, in the ICCUB, we have 2 outreach web pages. One devoted to astrophysics and the other one devoted to particle physics and nuclear physics. So that's a starting point. We collect there a lot of news, activities, information, etc., etc. You can go to our main page, go for outreach, and they are linked from there.
We are in a moment when, well, we can be, we can consider ourselves fortunate because outreach is getting so exciting. There are so many things going on. So around physics and research, there is podcasts and videos, great people writing about the key questions in dark matter, antimatter, and so at that level, there are many resources. And the sociological aspect of scientific lab is something to be discovered. So as Rosa was saying, how do I speak this language? How do I, because, well, I thought, Rosa, you allow me to say this. I thought that was really, really funny when Rosa one day came to the office and said, particles, particles, particles. I'm fed up of particles. And I look at Rosa and said, oh my God, this is like trying to learn Chinese. And you are so tired of trying to understand what this language is about. And so you really need a lot of decompression because it's really interesting, but it's difficult to reach. So there is great writers right now, like Carlo Rovelli or many, Lisa Randall. There are so good literature right now in science. Then in art and science, we have good resources as well. And Roger Malina and the Leonardo crew did a great job for the last decades. And you can also, if you want to go closer to what we do at Sang and Gar in Barcelona, you can go to our websites. There is profiles of artists and content there that is more concrete. So you will see diversity. Diversity is very important. We look for things that are not necessarily obvious.
Mm-hmm. Okay, a very important question, perhaps not that practical to the science. In which ways an artist can be useful for science? And the following question would be, how do you think an artist's work could help you somehow in your work? What do you expect to gain from the interaction with artistic processes? This is a very important question, in my opinion. What would you say? Helga, would you go first?
Okay, so for me, okay. First of all, we are not talking about an interaction, of course, that can help me with the very details of my work. However, the core of physics is somewhere understanding concepts, understanding the philosophy, and trying to get to the core of these questions. So I think in some sense, when I talk to artists, it's even can be more exciting than talking to students who are asking me questions, because students are already trained to think in a certain way. So artists have another way to approach the same concepts, and I think the concepts that we are trying to research in the end are you don't need a specific language to understand the basic concepts. So yeah, I think what you can get from this exchange as a scientist is simply this: is getting a completely different viewpoint on your own research also. And when you try to explain what you are doing, you have to also zoom out of the picture and try in this in a non specific language in a way, and that's also the moment where you rethink a bit from the big perspective about your work, and you understand through this many things about your work and other concepts also.
Yeah, let me also put the question into a wider frame, and I will answer here as a director of the institute. One thing that is happening in science in the last, say, 10, 15 years, it's that the concept of science as part of society is changing. There's an initiative at the European level called Responsible Research and Innovation that is behind the European project, and simply is stating the fact that science is not something isolated from the rest of human activities. So on the one hand, what we do on science is paid by society and is not something that is done for its own good, but it's also oriented to the needs and to the wills of society. And second, as scientists, we are breaking a kind of taboo. We have the mandate or the obligation to really make what we do easy to understand or understandable for the wide society. And I see also the interaction with art, a part of this wide change in science, a better integration with the rest of what's happening in our societies. So interacting with science, helping each other, will be just a part of this general idea of getting science to become a more integral part of all the society, of everything. We need science to make decisions. We need science to understand what awaits us in the future, and we need science to live. And art is part of life, and science is part of life, and I don't see why they should not go together.
Thank you. Okay, let's go back to specific problems, because this I think it's important to in relation to the application. Practical question: how does the proposal have to be structured? What format should the portfolio have? Is it necessary to submit a video presentation of the project? Can you offer any guidelines for the video submission? Are you looking for a creative presentation? Should it contain information that is not in the proposal itself? Thank you for the question. I mean, this is not signed, but thank you for the intensity.
This is a very important question, because I know many people will be sort of stuck with the video. In my experience as a juror and many, not only at CERN, but in other institutions, I found that asking for a video is a way to confirm often that the proposal is well guided and is well structured in itself. I would advise for those who are preparing the video at the moment that you don't replicate what is already in the proposal, but try to combine your thinking, your philosophy, the background that we don't see in the proposal into visuals, and try to, and if you don't want to work with the visuals, try to show us in a poetic way but personal way why this is important for you, and why it's important that you will need to come to CERN to do it, and it will in a way we all the projects have the ambition for changing perspectives and changing behaviors, and we do as well. So we want to see that we are going to be of help to transform some thinking, that you have the intuition and you have the tools to do. So in the video, the video is for motivation. You can use perhaps some images from early works or some sketches that you are preparing for the residency already. You can combine different media, but we want to see motivation there. I hope helps. Please send us via email these questions as well. We can continue to be more concrete and to help with this key question about the video. Don't give up. Don't give up.
Perhaps the last one, Monica, because this is almost an hour and a half already. But as Monica was saying, we will keep the list of questions and give an answer to them, of course, and also provide the emails through which you can continue posing questions. But a very specific, but I think important one. Who is the jury committee? Do we already know that? And what is their background? Is this already decided, Monica? Or there is still something to be decided?
Well, I think I think we have the policy to not inform about the jury. We will do later.
Okay.
But I don't want this to be a condition for the proposal. I think the jury as well as me and you and anyone here. We are facilitators. We are not dictating a norm. So we are supporting whatever challenges that you throw to us with ideas. So I prefer not to reveal yet who the jury is, but I can say that they are cultural experts as well as scientists. So we combine art and science in the jury as well.
Since this was short, another very important question: have a non-European artist been selected in previous years of the
Sure,
program?
yes. Junchul Kim is from Korea. Juan Cortez Honoray mentioned is from Colombia. So we
Nice.
want to reach as far as we can. And we are receiving applications from 1 year to, I don't remember when, I think 2017, we got like 72 countries. Yeah.
So I would say that, I mean, this is not even half of the questions we received, but I mean, the team behind of the camera, Marcia, that is reading the questions and trying to bring them together in the main topics. I think we covered the main, and it would be impossible to reply them all. Thank you for the huge interest. And of course, the questions will not remain unanswered, but I think now we could go on for hours. So I would say, if you agree, Monica, that we should finish this conversation now, and just be attentive. I mean, the same channels that you used for these questions in social media and through email will be open. Of course, this presentation, once the streaming is over, will be accessible through YouTube, so you can watch this again. And, well, that was, from the Angar side, a big pleasure to have you all here. I mean, it's thrilling for us to have such good scientists, such good artists, and such good facilitators and curators in our premises. We are so happy to be a part of this program. So thank you so much. Back to you, Monica.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you for hosting us, because this was a spontaneous proposal that came 2 weeks ago. We thought it was so important to do this for the artists that are planning to apply, and also because it's challenging now to think that you can do something. We are in lockdown or semi-lockdown, so be confident. Programs are still being run. There is resources. We will be working with you, and we want to encourage any idea to come to arts at cern.ch. You have that in our website and with you as well. So
Yes.
there is an email for Angar.
Yes, if you access angar.org, I mean, you can write any email there at info. I mean, the emails are on the website, and so this is very, very easy to get the contact.
Thank you, Lori. It's been a pleasure. I think this has been a really, really interesting conversation, and we need to continue this sometime in the near future. And have a very nice afternoon to all of you.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.